Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube video. This is the lecture on the time of supply. So now, as we all know, the GST is levied on supply. So when we know the GST is levied on supply, now it is very necessary to know how to determine the time of supply. If we don't know the time of supply, how will we know that when to levy GST? Now, people might be thinking there are different point of time when we tell it is a supply. Like as mentioned here, whenever a person makes an agreement to supply goods or services, people tell it is the supply. When the goods or service is actually delivered is also considered a supply. When the invoice is made. Now, as many people are confused what exactly invoice is, some people regard it as voucher also. So let me make it clear that invoice is only the bill here. Okay, invoice means bill. When the invoice or the bill is made, or when the due date for the issue of invoice arises, means when the supplier should make the invoice or the bill and issue to the recipient party, or when the payment is made, when actually the time should be determined. There might be a lot of confusion upon this. So, can anybody who thinks that any of these 5 points is the answer to this, please comment below. Now, let me take you deep down to this chapter. So, according to the GST Acts and provisions, Section 12 tells about the time of supply of goods, and Section 30 tells us about the time of supply of services. Now, let me tell you clearly, you guys should not get confused between the time of supply between goods and services. Both are not one and the same. There is a difference and different provisions for the both. Now, there is default rule for both the supply of goods and supply of goods and the supply of service. Now, let me tell you first the default rule of the supply of goods. So, there are 2 points in this. In default rule, you must check the date of issue of invoice or the last date on which the suppliers is required to issue the invoice. This both means the one and the same. Means basically the date of issue of invoice or the date on which the supplier receives the payment. Okay. So what two things you have to check in the question, that is the date of issue of invoice and the date on which the supplier receives the payment, whichever is earlier. Okay. The date, whichever is the earliest, will be the time of supply of goods. Is it clear? If any doubts regarding this, please comment. So let us solve a question regarding this. What does the question says here? The question here tells that Mr. X supplied goods to Mr. Y. As I clearly mentioned that it is the supply of goods. Okay. Next, they have given the dates like the date of invoice is 15th August. Okay, the date of invoice is 15th August. Next, they have mentioned the date of receipt of payment is 10th September and the date when supplier recorded the receipt in books is 13th September. Now, there might be a doubt arising that date when supplier recorded receipt in books, why is this point given? So when I tell you that date on which supplier receives the payment, it consists of both date when the payment is actually received and also when the supplier has recorded in their books. It consists of both. Okay. Now, as both the information is given, you will see the earliest of all. So, can anybody tell me, or you can comment in the chat you can comment in my YouTube channel, which is the earliest date? 15th August, 10th September, or 13th September? As we all know, August comes before September. So 15th August is the correct answer as it is the earliest date. Okay. Now, let's solve the next question. Okay. Now, next question looks big. So some people might get confused. Some people really feel it difficult. But the only key to solve big questions is read the points carefully and note down each and every point as you read it. Okay. So now let's read. What it says that X, a retailer of bicycle, has supplied supply of bicycles. Okay, X is a retailer of bicycles. He have received bicycles from Atlas India. Determine the time of supply from the following details. Now, X places an order to supply 100 cycles. Price per cycle is 2,500 from Atlas India on 1st September 2017. Okay. Now, advance of rupees 40,000 was paid along with the order. Now, what it is telling, what is the payment, what first? Let me, okay, just a second. Let's note down this point along with this telling. As you read, we will note it down. So, what it is told. First, it has made a date payment. Everybody write it along with me. Payment of advance 40,000 is when it was stolen 1st September. Okay. 1st September. Next. On 30th September 2017, 10 cycles were sent from factory to X for inspection by Atlas India to inspect its quality and standards. On the same day, X inspected and found these satisfactory. Is this point relevant to us? No, because we are nowhere searching the date of inspection, right? Next, X transfers 60,000 as advance through NEFT credit in SBI current account of Atlas India on 1st October 2017. The same is recorded in the books of Atlas India on 3rd October 2017. Okay, when is the payment received of 60,000 more? 1st October 2017. So mention that. Next point comes this. Payment of advance. How much advance? 60,000. When? The date given by them is 1st October. 1st October. Okay, now let's read next what did they mention. All cycles were delivered from factory to store of X on 5th October 2017. Tax invoice was issued by Atlas India on the same day. When was the tax issue invoice issued? 5th October. Invoice they gave date is 5th. October. Now, the invoice will be issued for everything on the same day. Agree? Now, what did they mention more? Balance payment, that is the amount of invoice minus advance of rupees 1 lakh is received on 10th October 2017. Now, final remaining amount they told, right? So, remaining amount is received when 10th October. Invoice date remains same. See, every time whenever you go and purchase something, they won't give you different invoices, right? One invoice, whatever, how many ever times you pay them and how many ever installments, only one invoice is issued of the final amount. Now you have to determine the time of supply. This is all the information given. Now see, last point is as per section 31 of 1, Atlas India has issued tax invoice by 5th October 2017. Applicable GST rate on cycle is 12%. So this all issued tax invoice 5th October is we have taken. And applicable GST rate doesn't matter to us because we are not removing the value. We are just determining the date, or means the time of supply. Okay. Now, as we have got to know the payment date as well as the invoice date, whichever is earlier. Now, 5th September and 5th October, which is earlier? September, right? So we will be having three. And we're having three time of supply. First is 1st September, as this is the earliest in this. Next, 1st October or 5th October, which is earlier? 1st October is earlier. Next, 10th October or 5th October, which is earlier? 5th October is earlier. So we have three solutions for this. First is 1st September, 1st October, and 5th October. Okay? Got it? This is the solution for such a big question. See, the solution is too big. The key to answer such question is read it carefully and note it down as and when required. Okay. Next, this was all about the default rule of goods. What is it? You have to check two things: the date of issue of invoice and the date on which the supplier receives the payment. Whichever is earlier will be your time of supply and goods. Next, we have default rule for time for supply of services. Okay. In this default rule, we have three conditions. For three conditions, we have different time period to determine the time of supply. Now, if when you're taking a service and if the supplier has issued the invoice within the period of 30 days, okay, within the period of 30 days, if he or she is issuing the invoice, then you will see the date of issue of invoice or the date of receipt of payment. What you will see, the date of issue of invoice or the date of receipt of payment. Same like the default rule of supply of goods. Okay, this is same. Whichever is earlier will be a time of supply, but when only the invoice is issued within the period of 30 days. Coming to next, if the invoice is not issued within the period of 30 days, then you will look at the date of provision of service, means when the service is actually provided to the recipient or when the payment is made, the date on which the payment is made, whichever is earlier. When the invoice is not issued within a period of 30 days, then you will look these two conditions. Now, when you cannot determine with this both the conditions A and B, then the time of supply will be the date on which the receipt shows the receipt of services in the books of account. Whenever it is recorded in the books of account, that date will be your time of supply. Okay, so we have basically 3 points in this. When the invoice is issued within a period of 30 days, not issued within a period of 30 days, and when both doesn't apply, both 30 and not 30 doesn't apply, then this. Now let's do a question. I hope this is clear. If any doubts, please comment. Okay, next. The question here is, Mr. X, a chartered accountant, provides the following details. Now let me tell you, if the question mentions chartered accountant, means that person is providing a service, that is a professional service, right? So they gave the following details. The date of supply of service is October 25th. Date of issue of invoice, they are mentioning it is within the 30 days, that is October 28th. Date of entering the payment in the books of account is November 7th, and date of credit of payment in bank is November 6th. Now, as they have mentioned that the date of issue of invoice is within 30 days, right? Within 30 days, then you will see two things. What are those? The date of issue of invoice and date of receiving of payment, right? So here the date of the time of supply will be what? October 28th or November 7th, which is early. See, now when it is within 30 days, you have to look at two things: date of issue of invoice and date of receiving of payment. Which is early, October 28th or November 7th? October 28th. So this is the correct answer. Okay. Now, what they mentioned next? Will there be any changes in the time of supply if Mr. X issued invoice after November 25th, 2018? Now, if he issues after November 25th, what is it? It will cross the 30 days, right? It is crossing 30 days. Then you will look at two things, that is the date of supply of service, the date of supply of service, and the date of receipt of payment. Which is earlier, October 25th or November 7th? October 25th. Then it will change to October 25th. Answer, right? Got it? So we have solved both the cases in this, within 30 days and without 30 days. Is it clear? If no, any doubts, you can ask me. Your doubts will be cleared within 24 hours from the comment posted. Okay, coming to the next question. Coming to the next question, it tells PQR Ltd receives the order and full advance payment on 5th January 2019 for carrying out an interior designing job. It delivered the service on 25th Jan 2019, but the invoice for the same was issued on 20th March 2019. What will be the time of supply? Now, first we have to check. What we have to check? That whether the invoice was issued within 30 days from the supply of service or no. Now, the service was delivered on 25th January, but the invoice was issued on 20th March. So it is crossing the 30 days criteria. So two dates you will check, that is when the payment was made and when the service was delivered, whichever is earlier. Which is earlier, 5th January, 25th January? 5th January is the solution to this. Understood? Is it clear? Now, next. Now we have completed what? The default rule for both the time of supply for goods and the time of supply of services. Now, coming to the next topic. We have time of supply when covered under reverse charge mechanism. What is reverse charge mechanism? I guess it is clear for you all as it was discussed twice in my previous video. Reverse charge mechanism means when the customer directly pays the GST to the government. In forward charge, what happens? Forward charge, as manufacturer supply goods to wholesaler, GST is paid by wholesaler to manufacturer. This manufacturer pays to government. Okay, means basically supplier pays the GST to government, but in reverse charge, this is reversed and customer pays this to the government. That is reverse charge mechanism. So in simple words, whenever the customer is paying the GST to the government, it is called reverse charge mechanism. Okay. Whenever the goods is serviced, whenever the goods is supplied in reverse charge mechanism, then you have to see the date of receipt of goods, date on which the payment is made, and the date immediately following 30 days from the invoice by the supplier, whichever is earliest of all. What all three things you will see? Date of receipt of goods, date on which payment is made, and the date immediately following 30 days from. Again, when it is not possible from all these 3 points, then you will see okay, see, the simple thing is whenever these three things don't apply, or whenever the following condition of 30 days or non-30 days apply, means whenever you cannot find out the time of supply from those things, you will see what? Whenever the date of entry in the books of accounts. The same thing happened above. When all this criteria doesn't meet, you will see the date on which it is recorded in the books of account. Okay. So in reverse charge mechanism of goods, three things are told: date of receipt of goods, date on which payment is made, and the date immediately following 30 days from the date of issue, means basically the 31st day. Okay. Now let's solve a question to make it more clear. What does this question says? Let's read. It says, Mr. X, a registered person, supplied goods to Mr. Y, also a registered person. The tax in respect of these goods is liable to be paid on reverse charge basis. So it is clearly mentioning that it is a supply of good and it is on reverse charge basis. How? Supplied goods paid on reverse charge basis. Okay. Other details in respect to the above transaction are as under. Date of receipt of goods. See, date of receipt of goods is given. That is 25th January. Date on which payment is made and entered. Date on which payment is made is 28th January. Date of issue of invoices 5th Feb. First, you will calculate the date immediately following 30 days. 5th Feb. From 5th Feb, from next date, you calculate 30 days. Means from 6th Feb, you see the 30 days. So when you calculate those dates, you will arrive at which date? You will arrive at 7th March. You can open your calendars and calculate. You will arrive at the date that is 7th March. Okay, 7th March. So which is earliest? You will see date of receipt of which all you have to see dates. Date of receipt of goods, date on which payment is made, or the 7th 30 days. Which you will see. Which is earliest? 25th, 28th or 7th March? 25th. So answer is 25th. That's it. It's very simple. Okay. This is for supply of goods in reverse mechanism. Now, next we have is time of supply of service and reverse charge mechanism. So in this, we have two conditions. You will see a date on which payment is made or the 61st day. In supply of goods and reverse charge mechanism, we have 31st day. In this, we have 61st day, whichever is earlier of both. And when both is not applicable, you will see when the date on which it is entered in books of account. So let's solve a question. Determine the time of supply, assuming that the service being supplied is taxable under reverse charge. Okay, now it is mentioned reverse charge. Now what are the information given to us? The supplier of service issued invoice on 4th December. From this, we have to issue of invoice, we have to calculate 61st date. Means don't calculate from 4th December. From next day, you will always calculate. Don't include 4th December. So if you calculate, you will arrive at 3rd Feb 2019. 3rd Feb. Okay. Another thing we have to see is date of payment. Payment is made on 20th Feb. Right. The payment is made on 20th Feb. So which is earlier, 3rd Feb or 20th Feb? Answer will be 3rd Feb because this is earlier than 20th Feb. I hope this is clear. This is a time of supply of service under reverse charge mechanism. Coming to the last topic for the day. The last topic is about in case of supply by associated enterprises. Associated enterprises means whenever it is in relation with others. Basically, if I have a subsidiary, then it will be, and I am the, if I have a subsidiary, then that subsidiary will be my associated enterprise. In case of supply by associated enterprise, when the supplier of service is located outside India, the time of apply shall be the date of entry in the books of account or date of payment, whichever is earlier. You have to see in this, whenever the date on which the books they have recorded in their books, or then on which the payment has been made, whichever is earlier. Okay, the question is not mentioned here. So let me give you a simple example, little question. So let me tell 1st January 2019. Okay. On 1st January 2019, an American company informed its associate company to provide technical okay, it's taking technical services from its associate company. Okay. And on 5th March 2019, payment has been made and also recorded in the books of account. What will be the solution? Now, as I told you, you have to see two dates. That is date of entry in the books of account and date of payment. And the question says that payment has been made and also recorded in the books of account on same date. So your answer will be 5th March itself. Okay. So your answer will be 5th March 2019. Done? I hope so. It is very clear. So we have basically discussed the default rule for time of supply of both goods and service. Then in reverse charge mechanism, the time of supply of goods and time of supply of service. Then we have at last concluded by the time of supply by associated enterprises. Okay. Now, in our next class, we will be reading about the voucher. The time of supply when the voucher is issued. Okay. And also forward charge mechanism. And when it is in when it is issued, when you are paying more than 1,000 rupees advance, how to do. There's some different rules and regulations that all will be discussed in our next video. So hope so this is very clear. Thank you for listening. Please like, share and subscribe and click on the bell icon for receiving notification about my next video. And any doubts, please comment. It will be clarified within 24 hours. Thank you so much for watching.